Hello, beautiful earthling. I'm so glad that you came across this video because your girl has a message for you today. And if you found this video, you clicked it intuitively, knowing your soul, your body, your mind, it just knew it needed it. So keep watching and pay attention because this message is really important. We're going to be pulling from my Fairy Oracle deck today, one of my favorite decks of all time. It's so beautiful. Let's see. Dawn to dusk. So you are definitely entering through some transition in your life. So you're probably going through maybe a transition career-wise, perhaps relationship-oriented, or just something mentally, spiritually, whatever it is, you're going through a transition. And I mean, transitions are not easy. They're never going to be easy. They're filled with a lot of conflicted and confusing emotions, okay? But you need to really hone in on this and perhaps journal what you're feeling. Don't try to repress the quote-unquote negative emotions, because that is what's going to guide you through this and lead you to the path, okay? Lead you to the path that you're supposed to be on. So don't ignore those emotions, but really pay attention to them. Even if you're feeling like a little weird, a little unsure, a little uncertain, there's a common theme that plays into a lot of my readings, because uncertainty will always be there, okay? It's not going to go away. We're not always going to know. We're not going to have the master key to all knowledge, okay? We do know everything in a way. We have all the knowledge and all the wisdom within us. We don't have access to that information in this physical realm, okay? And that's okay. We are very knowledgeable human beings and creatures, I want to say, because we are creatures. But we're not going to have the answer to everything all the time. And that is something that you need to really hone in on and come to realization, come to acceptance. I think acceptance is a really big one, okay? Being okay with accepting not knowing what the hell the future holds. And that's okay. That's exactly where you need to be right now. So yes, this card, it is a lot about transition period. So that dawn to dusk, how when the sun rises up until it goes down and so forth. And just like the earth, we go through a transition period, okay? Like it says, dawn to dusk. We're in a constant cycle. The world is in a constant cycle of repeating that process over and over again. And we're going to repeat that process over and over again in our own physical bodies, in our own soul journey. Actually, if you didn't know, your world does revolve around you. So have you ever heard the world doesn't revolve around you? Yours actually does. And you're the alchemizer of your own reality. So remember that. A little bit of food for thought. Okay, and let's see what is going to really help you and tap into this transition period in your life. Treat yourself. Ooh. We love this card. I mean, just as it says, this little spirit eating a little thing of corn. I think it's corn, right? Yeah, that's corn. Take yourself out to a nice, cute little dinner for yourself. Buy yourself that thing that you wanted. Do a little bit of self-care. It doesn't even have to be materialistic. And I like to avoid, buying out of sadness or retail therapy. You know what I mean? Trust me, I do it all the freaking time. Although I don't want to condone it. Sometimes it's okay when you have balance, right? Everything needs a little bit of balance, but at the same time, it does not need to be materialistic, okay? It can also just be a self-care moment. Do a little ritual for yourself. Journal. Journaling is self-care. And I know a lot of the time when people think of self-care, they think about like going to the salon, getting your hair done. It can be little simple, mundane, magic rituals that you do in your everyday life. That is the self-care, okay? Meditation, yoga, all of those things. A tarot reading, this is my self-care. So really tap into that, because through this transition period, you're going to need to treat yourself, just like the card says. Be kind to yourself. Be open to these feelings and these emotions that you are feeling, even though, again, you might feel uncertain and unsure. And that's okay, because this is the ultimate transition into this new reality that you're stepping into, and you need to remember that as you're going through this. But also, don't neglect your needs. Don't neglect your needs. You are still a human being, and you deserve love and light from yourself. Of course, we want love and light from, you know, other human beings. That is completely natural to want, but your number one supporter is going to be yourself. It's going to be yourself. You need to love yourself to receive the ultimate love from your higher self. I mean, you're constantly receiving love from your higher self as well, but in order to really connect to that higher self, you need to put your love out there and remember to really take care of yourself and be kind to yourself in these moments. And I know it's really, really hard when, like for me, sometimes I get really, really upset and I feel emotions like anger, things I don't necessarily want to feel, because, you know, no one wants to feel angry. It's, for me, it's like an icky feeling, you know? But remember to be kind to yourself, and you're human, and letting these emotions, not letting them bottle up and, you know, take over, but really accepting the fact that you feel. And yeah, just being really, really kind to yourself. I think that this is what this card is telling you. And just don't neglect yourself. Don't neglect your emotional needs, your physical needs, all of those things. Emotional, mental, all of the above. All of the above. Now we are going to see what is to come from this transitional period. What is the ultimate outcome? What is the goal that we're trying to achieve here, okay? What are you going through this transitional period for?
$2,000 later.
Tipping point. Ooh, I love this card. This card is actually one of my favorites. Now, this card actually has a lot to do with not overindulging in certain things, okay? So not putting your energy into something where it is not serving you. And that is a really, really important thing to remember about this card. So old habits that you have, maybe current habits that you're having right now. So this transitional period is really setting you up to break these old habits, these overindulgences, whatever that may be for you. I don't want to get too like deep and specific, but you know, this could be like substance related. This could be toxic patterns for you, whatever it may be, whatever is screaming out to you, whatever your soul is telling you it is. So this card to me just really, really feels like there is some habit being broken here, right? And some overindulgences that maybe have been happening. Now, maybe you are pouring too much into something that it doesn't need to be poured into. Your energy is being poured into something that it doesn't need to be in. Whatever that looks like for you, right? And it's really funny that we got the treat yourself card right before this too, because treat yourself is about indulging. And this card is about, okay, maybe keep the balance, right? Don't overindulge in things. So this transitional period is maybe teaching you to really balance. And I think that this is what this reading is really all about. Finding that in between, that balance. And remembering, again, with the Dawn to Dusk card, like we pulled earlier, this transition is here to really illuminate and shine down a light on maybe these multifaceted and maybe a little bit confusing of emotions that you're feeling, and knowing that it's okay because there's a balance, right? Just like the universe, there is a balance of everything. Everything needs a balance in order to be stable, okay? And we're not going to always be balanced. That's another thing too. Of course, we want to accomplish that, but realizing that we are not perfect. We're never going to be perfect, okay? And that's why you're in this transitional period, is to recognize these things and figure out, okay, what do I want to do from this point? What do I need to work on, right? So be very careful about overindulging, and maybe journal and do some prompts about some habits that you believe that you might have, maybe some patterns that you recognize within yourself. I think that's really important. Shadow work is a really big one. If you've not heard that before, or you just haven't really began at all, I really suggest maybe getting a shadow work journal and starting off on that, because that is a really, really good connection to your higher self. Little recap, right? Dawn to dusk, these transition periods, they can almost feel like they hurt in a way. It can be kind of painful, achy to go through them because of the multifaceted emotions and challenges that you kind of go through mentally and emotionally and spiritually, really, trying to get onto that right path, right? So just paying attention to how you feel, and again, not being ashamed of having these feelings, because it is completely okay, right? There's a balance. And with a balance, that is going to mean that there are good days, there are bad days, there are so many emotions that it can feel a little bit overwhelming at times. But again, just pay attention to these things, why you are feeling this way. And just remembering that transitions are so necessary to really just teach you things, right? And to reach yourself, remembering that through these transitions, do not neglect yourself. Do not neglect your needs, your wants, and what your soul really desires. If that's a sweet little treat, go get yourself the sweet little treat. Or maybe you want to do some spiritual self-care. Once again, like doing tarot, practicing your gratitude, your mindfulness with some meditation, some yoga, doing a ritual. That is something that I love to personally do, whatever that looks like for you. Remembering that you're still human, right, in this physical realm. So remember to treat yourself. And in the same note, we have tipping point here, which tipping point just comes in as a reminder, like, hey, okay, but don't overindulge in these things, because although these things bring us joy, we don't want to create habits or dependencies, if you will, okay? So remembering that, again, this whole reading to me is just about balance, finding that harmony within yourself through this transition. Thank you all so much for tuning in with me today for this reading, and I hope you find yourself with a little bit of more answers or some guidance for you today. And until next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Love ya.